Hey and welcome to Neverwinter with Aragon. So I'd like to show you exactly how you can go and check out your damage on your character. DPS players, pretty competitive, as you want to be dealing as much damage as possible to fulfill your role adequately in certain content. So you may as well go in at your highest potential with your best powers and your best rotation. So how can you best find out exactly what you should be using? So here I'm going to show you my very easy method where everybody on every platform, whether you're on consoles or PC, can very easily check how much DPS you have, which is your average damage you're dealing per second. The first thing you will need is your character, have it fully pimped, and then have access to the new fancy training room. So this orb here should be sparkling for you and you should be able to interact with it. And this is just to the southeast of Protector's Enclave. You can see where I am just here, and you enter through here to the Adventurers Guild and you interact with this orb to head to the training room. If it's not glowing for you, then you may see it like me. You can't interact with it. Well, you need to go and fully complete the quest called Training Day. Just accept that and follow it till its conclusion, speaking back to Sergeant Knox. And once you do so, you will then be able to head back to the training room. And here we can test our damage very easily. First of all, we're going to go and make sure we're fully buffed up. We have our character fully pimped with all the stats we want. And now, very importantly, you go to this sparkly thing and you click select ratings to 45k. If you have it any lower, the test won't correlate and correspond to what I'm going to show you, so you won't be able to know your DPS. Do not have any of these selected or you're just trolling. And then you want to go and head over to these 4 dots just here, interact with just this one, that summons an ally. And then here, you want to summon the boss. This is the guy you'll be attacking. Make sure you have combat advantage, so you have the purple arc. If you're anywhere not there, you need to flank with that ally. You can see it's not purple, so you don't have combat advantage, which means you'll miss like 90% of your damage. And now what you want to do is check your daily power. Is it full or not? If it's not full, go over here and select max AP, and then make sure to select it again to disable it. Otherwise you'll be infinitely be able to cast your daily power consecutively, which is, again, you're just trolling, and that's not representative of a real, let's say, dungeon environment or trial. So now what you want to do is you want to do all your powers. So the best thing is to use your artifact first, and to represent a real world environment, have a debuff artifact. So for example, we're using the blades here, we cast that, and then we go to do all of our encounters with our daily mount and our hawk, and we may as well ring the bell there for our companion, probably a bit late, but anyway, then we can go and use our encounters when they're off cooldown, and we do this until the dummy is dead. And the faster you kill this guy, the higher DPS you have. And that way we can easily see exactly how much DPS we have based on how quickly you kill this guy. Now what you can do is you can have a stopwatch, so you can see exactly when you start attacking this guy, and then you can stop the watch basically when you finish attacking the guy. And that way then you know how much time has passed upon attacking this dummy. Now you will see when his hit point goes to nothing, you will get all immune markers like we do here, which is probably going to be for most maxed out players around the 50 to 1 minute mark. Now you might want to do this test multiple times, so just dismiss the guy and check if your action points are full. If they're not full, again, just enable and disable this thing just here. And then go back, summon the boss guy, make sure you and your companion have combat advantage, and go and attack again. I start with my artifact and then use the rest of my powers. And what you can do is when you get the boss down to 0, when he starts being immune to everything, you can check the remaining time left of your artifact, and you can subtract that from 60. So let's say I had 5 seconds left, then I would know I spent 55 seconds to kill this guy. So what do you do with that time? Well, you want to look at this chart. There'll be a link below, and you can also just screenshot it from here. And you want to then compare your time that it took you to then the DPS that you have. So if it took me 60 seconds, we can draw a line up to the red line and then draw that across. And we can see we have about 540,000 DPS. This is K there for 1,000. 540,000 DPS at about 60 seconds. If we kill the guy within 50 seconds, we have about 625 to nearly 30,000 DPS. And ultimately, if you take 100 seconds to kill the guy, you know your DPS is only just over 300,000. And if you took just 30 seconds to kill the guy, well, your DPS is through the roof at over 1 million, not even listed on this chart. But I don't think anybody's getting that high outside of in a trial environment. But ultimately, the reason why I found out this and worked out this method was because I'm trying to get my DPS set up for my wizard. I'm trying to find out what powers and features are the best by then doing these tests multiple times, hundreds of times in fact, making little adjustments to my build, tweaking it, and seeing does that give me more or less DPS. One thing to keep in mind though, when you look at your data, this is using like the combat tracker, which you can use to on PC, but that again is dependent on whether you're tech savvy or not. This method with the chart can be just a lot more simpler, but with the combat tracker, you're still getting the same thing. We're getting our time, our duration, and we're getting our DPS, and it's very nice, will show us here. And this DPS here was like 614,000, and my best one so far was 619,000. And you can see that there, that's within 50 seconds, and we only used one ice knife, and we only used one tunnel vision, and that tunnel vision was a garbage one. It didn't even crit, and otherwise the daily power 2.898 million, which is that's probably my maximum I can get on my daily power. But if I got my tunnel vision to be higher, like this hit 3.42 million, that's like my max hit there with like nearly 100% effectiveness, then we could get our DPS higher. So just keep in mind of those, and you might need to do multiple tests killing this dummy multiple times, because sometimes your powers don't crit, sometimes they get deflected, and especially when you're talking about your daily power and your mount power, those will definitely sway a lot on how quickly you can kill this guy. So you'll probably have to do a lot more than just one try at killing this guy and one timer, and just try find your best time to kill this guy. And again, you can just use the chart then to see exactly what's your DPS at. And these grayer lines here represent 2 seconds. You can see between 70 and 80. And on the DPS side, it's 20,000 DPS. Again, if you can use the combat tracker, it'll save you that trouble of having to get your timing done right with your stopwatch of when you start and finish attacking. But you can again also use something else to track that timer, like looking at your artifact. Do you have any time remaining? If you don't, and your artifact comes off cooldown before you finished killing the boss, you know then you've surpassed that 60 seconds, so your DPS is going to be lower than 520,000. And so ultimately, you can see my test data here, all of those act logs. But using this, I can very easily make decisions on what is better and what is worse. And then going to actually make that test against the dummy, double checking if that is actually giving me any better results helps me quite a lot. Big reason why I have to actually do it here on the wizard compared to just using, let's say, the dummies in Chult, is because of mainly Shatter Strike not actually working against the dummies, because they're not fully considered control immune, and thus I lose massive amounts of damage. You can see Shatter Strike there is my second top in damage at 11%. And this method then will also greatly help people on console to be able to check what they have as well. I'm sure people are probably already using this method on consoles, but at least now you can compare to PC as well. And hopefully it will help you as well to figure out how much damage you have, how quickly you can kill this guy, and thus how much DPS you have. And ultimately, as a damage dealer, it's your duty to improve your damage. The more damage you can do, the better you're doing. Like for a healer and tank, you just gotta adequately heal the party or tank the enemies and you're all good. A damage dealer, you can just always keep working on trying to get that damage better and better, and you can spend hours and hours and hours. And for me, this is what I find fun. Other people don't find it so much fun and are happy to just copy somebody's build. But somebody's gotta put this work in. Somebody's gotta do the testing to find out what's best. I'm happy enough to do that, and I will provide videos. Tomorrow, I'll probably publish my wizard build, finalize what I'm going to be using. I'm still on the fence about AoE damage, whether I should be Arcanist or I should be Thaumaturge. I have found Arcanist just to be a bit more reliable in AoE, especially with that wizardry feature with permanent combat advantage, but more about that in another video. Tomorrow will most likely be my single target damage build, set up to be prepared for module 24. Again, as a massive thank you to all of these channel members for their added support, and if I presented this well, consider leaving a video a like, and if you're new around here, consider subscribing. Let's see you guys around. Goodbye for now.